Emma's life was anything but easy. She married at 19, but her husband soon became violent. To escape his cruelty, she often ran into the woods where she found peace. Getting a divorce was difficult for a woman back then, and she had 11 kids to think about. Finally, after 30 years of a disastrous marriage, she did something that was rare at that time. She obtained a divorce. Emma was now free to do whatever she wanted. She just didn't know what that was yet. Emma had once seen breathtaking photographs accompanying an article in National Geographic magazine about the Appalachian Trail. It stated that a woman had never hiked the entire 2,050 miles. She decided to be the first. Most hikers pack their supplies carefully, making sure they have the proper equipment. But Emma wasn't like other hikers. She had no special gear. In fact, she didn't even have a sleeping bag, compass, tent, or hiking boots. Emma did have a homemade denim bag, a raincoat, sneakers, a blanket, and a shower curtain. Her supplies barely weighed 17 pounds. In May 1955, at 67 years old, off she went. The Appalachian Trail is not an easy walk. It meanders through 14 states from Georgia to Maine. Emma encountered bears, rattlesnakes, 2 hurricanes, flooded streams, harsh brush, and huge boulders. She suffered lots of sprains, cuts, and bruises. She ate berries and plants along the way, but she mostly survived by what she called trail magic. Other hikers sharing their food or giving her shelter when her shower curtain tent couldn't keep her dry and warm. The hike was more difficult than she'd expected, and many times during her 146-day trek, she wanted to quit. But she just kept going, overcoming all the obstacles she faced along the way. In September, 4 months after she began, she reached the end of the trail in Maine. She celebrated being the first woman to do so by singing "America the Beautiful." But Emma wasn't done. 2 years later, she hiked it again. The publicity and media coverage she received during her hikes shined a much-needed spotlight on the Appalachian Trail and led to upgrades and restoration. It also captured the attention of a new generation of hikers who have attempted to follow in her footsteps. Emma proved that it isn't where you come from, but where you're going that counts. And with hard work, dedication, and some worn-out sneakers, you can achieve success and inspire others to do the same. Emma Grandma Gatewood. Dr. Eugenie Clark, Shark Lady. Eugenie's life changed forever one Saturday afternoon when she was 9 years old. Her mother had to go to work selling newspapers, and she didn't have a babysitter, so she dropped Eugenie off at the New York Aquarium. Eugenie's mother thought it would keep her busy and out of trouble. It did that and so much more. Eugenie marveled at all the different fish and sea creatures. She felt like she was in a magical world, and she went back Saturday after Saturday. Soon, their tiny apartment was filled with aquariums and fish tanks, and Eugenie became the youngest member of the Queens County Aquarium Society. This wasn't a passing fad, but a lifelong passion. She knew she wanted to become an ichthyologist, someone who studied fish and sharks. But her very first dive didn't go as planned. Deep below the surface, she realized something was wrong. She was running out of air. After being pulled up and into the boat, barely conscious, she saw that her air hose was leaking. It would have been easy to quit, but the lure of the ocean floor was too strong. Her hose was repaired by a crew member, and over the side she went. Eugenie spent years diving and studying all types of fish and sea creatures around the world. But one species captured her attention the most: sharks. People perceived sharks as evil eating machines with little or no intelligence. Eugenie disagreed and made it her mission to prove otherwise. To do so, she captured several lemon sharks and developed a test for them at her marine laboratory in Florida. Eugenie taught the sharks to swim into a target, which would ring a bell and release a bit of food as a reward. Then she made it harder, using different colored targets in different shapes. The sharks quickly adapted. Her personal with sharks and never felt afraid. Once, while she was diving, a 40-foot-long whale shark passed by, and she grabbed on for a great ride, letting go only when she saw how far away her boat was. During her 75-year career, Eugenie wrote, taught, and lectured about marine biology. She received numerous awards and honors, but her most important legacy was inspiring others to learn about and fall in love with her magical undersea world. Dr. Eugenie Clark. Fanny Bullock Workman, courageous climber. Fanny Bullock's childhood was one of wealth and privilege, fine schools, world travel, and fancy society parties. When she married Dr. William Hunter Workman in 1881, she could have stayed home and been a woman of leisure. But that lifestyle didn't suit Fanny. She wanted adventure and excitement. During 1895, Fanny and William rode a bicycle built for two across Europe and Asia, through Spain to Morocco, over the Atlas Mountains and into the Sahara Desert. William pedaled and steered from the front seat. They traveled light with only the most basic provisions, riding materials, a first aid kit, and a tire repair kit, which they used multiple times a day. For once, Fanny took a back seat to her husband, but only because she was armed with a revolver and a whip to discourage bandits they encountered along their way. She was a one-woman security team. As they rode along, Fanny paid close attention to the local women and their living conditions, frequently snapping pictures with her Kodak camera. She kept careful notes on their travels, and these, along with their photos, were later published in 8 travel books. After bicycling about 4,000 miles across the land from southern India to the Himalayas, they decided to travel up. At that time, explorers had determined that the highest altitude climbers could reach and survive was 21,000 feet. But they hadn't met Fanny. In 1906, Fanny and William were the first Westerners to climb Pinnacle Peak, estimated at 23,000 feet in the Nangan range of the Himalayas. Fanny climbed very slowly in her long woolen skirts, alternating between boots and snowshoes. But her slow ascent was actually a benefit. It helped her acclimate easily and avoid altitude sickness. Besides traveling and trekking up mountains, Fanny's other passion was women's rights. She combined these two in 1912 when she posed for a photograph standing atop Saichen Glacier in the Himalayas, holding up a newspaper with the headline, "Votes for Women." In 1914, at the onset of World War I, Fanny hung up her snowshoes but continued to write about her travels and scientific observations. She was one of the first women to be admitted to the Royal Geographical Society and the first to lecture at the Sorbonne in Paris. She frequently hit the lecture circuit, giving talks in English, French, or German, depending on where she was. Not only was Fanny a courageous mountain climber, she was also proud to call herself a new woman, which meant she was equal to, and sometimes